Oh, it's too late. Hi, welcome to Snacks, everybody. We are just happy to be here on a Wednesday. This is a new day for us. We're trying out different days. There's
Hey,
Courtney.
I forgot my snack. I was like, oh yeah,
Oh,
let me grab my
okay.
snack.
Welcome to Snacks, you guys. I'm Miriam.
I'm Courtney.
And today we are going to be talking about when to call it quits.
Oh.
This is obviously a popular topic because people are splitting up for random reasons.
You get on my nerves. I'm out of
Kinda.
here. I don't care. Give me my snack. It's over.
Right. But before we get into our show today, we just want to remind you to subscribe, like, and share. So subscribe to all of our social media channels. We're on Instagram, snacks_LA, Twitter, snacks_LA, Facebook, snacks fans, YouTube, snacks_LA, and YouTube has added a subscribe button to the bottom right corner of your screen. You'll see snacks. If you click that, you can subscribe, and that way you'll be notified every time we go live.
Yay.
And so,
Hey, Loretta.
hi Loretta, welcome. So we have what are you snacking on? You went and grabbed it. What are you snacking on?
So, Lord, y'all, I have gained 25 pounds during this quarantine because a girl love to cook and I love to eat. I mean, that's over a year though, still, right? So, hey, Brian. So I have been I did the J-Lo challenge, no carb, no sugar for a while, but I still want to incorporate that kind of stuff in eating keto. And I have a sweet tooth, so I made these chocolate truffle balls. But they're made from dates. You get the sweetness from dates, pitted dates.
Wow.
And you mix all this stuff.
Why are you single? She over here
right?
She's making pork chops and smothering them, and I'm like, what is going on?
Right? I don't understand it, Miriam.
No, they don't know. They sleeping on you. They sleeping on you.
Right.
Well, I don't have a snack today. I just have my beverage. Keep my throat nice and warm while I'm talking. Yeah, I didn't want to say it like that, but yeah. Exactly. But today, so it kind of goes along with our topic. First, we
it really does.
It does, right?
Mm-hmm.
We wanted to talk about our snack shift today is about Saweetie and Quavo. They're like Instagram famous. They're kind of like
Quavo is from the Migos, one of the 3 members of the Migos. And Saweetie is not only Gabrielle Union's cousin that came out, but she's a rapper.
I thought she was Beyonce's cousin.
Gabrielle Union's. But her song, she has plenty of songs, but I want an 8-figure nigga, and tap in. You know that song.
Oh, tap in, yeah. I know tap in.
That's Saweetie.
Okay, so Saweetie, video surfaced today of Quavo and Saweetie in an altercation in an elevator, reminiscent of Beyonce and Jay-Z and Solange in the elevator years ago.
Richard, who's the football player, y'all?
Oh yeah, and what was it? Ray Rice. So another elevator domestic violence incident. And there's been chatter, like some people feel like, well, we don't know how it started. We don't know if Saweetie hit him first. And
she looked like she swung.
He could be seen dragging her into an elevator. Kind of people are saying manhandling her.
Not dragging. Dragging is on the ground. Yeah, pulling her, snatching her up.
He did drag her into he pulled her arm and
drag her.
Because she was holding some bag or something.
That's her building. And so it looked like she was trying to leave, maybe go. I don't know what floor they're on, of course, but it's her building. So she had a bag, like a suitcase, looked like a weakened her and looked like she was trying to separate. He did snatch her up. I'd say not drag, because drag is what the football player did. You on the ground when you drag somebody. But he did snatch her up, rough her up to throw her back into the elevator.
Yeah. And so I think the reason it's less about them and more about domestic violence, right?
Or our topic, when to say quits, because that happened. They just broke up, but that happened previously. She stayed with him.
That's a good point. And yeah, you got to know when to go, because things are just going to get worse and worse and worse. And the controversy is, with women hitting men and men hitting women, there's a double standard. And for a good reason, there's a double standard. However, I was raised to never put my hands on a boy or a man, because if they hit me back, it's going to hurt 10 times worse. That's what my mom always told me. And I was raised with brothers. So my brothers were constantly playing roughhousing with me. And I was no snitch, so I'm not going to tell on them, but they weren't really trying to hurt me,
I told them, my cousin,
you little snitch.
I'm the baby. You can't mess with me.
I was the baby too. Like, they weren't, it wasn't like they were intentionally trying to hurt me, but you do have to be more delicate with women. Right. And so the thing is, it's like a lot of women are kind of taking Saweetie's side, even though, like you said at the beginning of the video, it looked like she swung on him first.
Right.
So the question is, though, is there any reason for a man to ever hit a woman?
Oh.
That's posed to you, Courtney.
Oh, is there any reason for what?
Is there any reason for a man to hit a woman? Is it in self-defense or in...
I mean, I guess if she's like a MMA fighter, WWF somebody, and, you're strangers and something happened, you got to defend yourself. But no, in a relationship, hell no.
So if he closed fist popped him in the face, he is not supposed to do anything.
I don't think. No, because again, a man does not know their strength. So, especially if they're in a heated thing, they're going to hit you like they're hitting a man. So I would prefer that a man, maybe am I asking too much, y'all? Let me know. I would prefer that a man have the composure to just walk away. You can shake a bitch, shake her real hard, shake her, let her eyeballs fall to the back of her head.
That is tricky, Loretta. I think, my thing is, like, I was playing around with my cousin one time, and she just, like, hit me in the face, right? And it kind of, when somebody hits you in the face, it's like a stinging, and then it's like a reflex. You just react. Right. You're not really thinking, like, oh, I'm about to hit this person in the face because they hit me in the face. It's more of like just an immediate reaction. So I could see a guy just reacting to that.
Yeah, I can see that. But you asked, should he? You asked, like, intentionally. I'm thinking, like, thinking of it. No.
Well, is there ever a reason? And I think that if it's a situation where you kind of didn't think about it and you were kind of like caught off guard by it.
Instinct.
Then, what you can't expect more from him than you would expect from someone else.
Yeah.
So it's but to your point, they've broken up, already 2 times.
Well, this wasn't their first breakup?
No, this is not their first breakup. They actually broke up before and then got back together because they were engaged, right? Am I thinking of the right person? Okay, I thought they were engaged and I thought they broke up. And then they got back together because he, like, wooed her and, brought her things like that.
There's just enough gifts. There's enough gifts you can't receive to take away the pain and somebody giving themselves to other people, So he has been gifting her up when he messes up. I wanted to say that Brian said he slung her into the elevator.
Yeah, slung is a good word.
That's a good word, right?
Yeah, he slung her into the elevator.
Slung her. I'm sorry. We're not laughing out of respect. I just want that
Yeah.
to be
So
known.
Brian also said in a relationship, he thinks that the man should do whatever it takes to stop the altercation. So not hit her, but maybe subdue her, pin her down.
Without committing battery on his female mate. I like that, Brian. That's what I'm trying to say. Yeah, I think that a man should have enough composure either to walk away or, like you say, subdue her. But sometimes, a woman in her frenzy can be like just a crazy.
Wild.
So that's why I think the walk away is probably the best thing. If you engage and she does accidentally knock you upside your head or do something crazy, you
accidentally knock you
in her frenzy, you might hit her back. You know what I mean? Like it escalates. So if you separate, there's no happenstance that could, occur. So
right, that's true. Okay, well, that is a good segue into our topic today, when to call it quits. Now, I plan to pull from different sources, right? My own personal experience, what I do when I'm trying to assess whether to move forward or not in a relationship. And then also I've looked up and done a little research, got some advice from the experts. What about you, Courtney?
I'm just going to relate.
Relate?
I'm just going to
just flow with it.
Opine, as my Sherilyn says. Yes. On your...
Hilarious. Okay, so I actually found some really good stuff on this topic. There's a relationship coach named James Bauer, and he actually proposed using, so Susie Orman is she's like she talks about she's an investment advisor, and she revealed the concept to him of zero-sum thinking. So what's popular when people are thinking of whether to stay or go in a relationship, they're often like, oh, I've been in this relationship so long, and we just, it's just too, I've been here for years, and I just, you just feel stuck.
I've already put in 3. They'll go from, it's been a year, like that's nothing, to 10 years. It's been 10 years, and I've just invested all this time in this relationship. Well, do you want to waste all this time in this relationship?
More time, right?
More time?
It's better to kind of just, you would think, to put it behind you and then move forward.
Especially while you're still cute, girl.
While you're still cute, exactly. So the question from the zero-sum thinking is, if I was not already in the relationship I am in now, would I choose to start this relationship given what I know?
That is a good question. He tells you to ask that question to yourself?
Yes.
Oh,
that's a part of zero-sum thinking, because what it does is, he says, it clears the cobwebs of a sunken investment. So relationships are an investment, right? You're investing your time, your money, your energy into this person. And so it would make sense to relate it to an investment concept, which is zero-sum thinking. So he says it allows us to stop making the mistake of thinking that our investments of time and energy in the past should be a factor that determines whether something is a good bet at this point in time.
Let me tell you, honey, I play the stock market. Girl. That's good. I play the stock market. And you know what I'm saying? That is exactly what I think about my money when I'm with these people. So, yes.
You and Robin Hood.
Oh, I'm all for Robin Hood.
You are?
I already had TDA Ameritrade, but I got Weibo, and I transferred my Robin Hood to Weibo. Okay, y'all. Because y'all know Robin Hood was shady.
Right. So it's important to think of it as an investment, and that's one of the questions you want to ask yourself. If I wasn't already in this relationship and I know what I know, would I decide to do this all over again?
Oh, that's a good question, Miriam. I just love it. That really does put it in perspective. Yep. It seems like you should have an answer right there from that.
Right? It seems like that would, be able to tell you like whether you should move forward or not. But I think the problem is emotions, right?
Right. Because I was going to say, I don't know, because when you're still in a relationship, you can't see straight or feel straight. Yeah. So I don't know. I'll test that out. Lord knows if I do get one, I want to have to ask that question. So Lord, don't send me nobody. I got to ask that question. That's what I'm gonna say right now. We're gonna sprinkle that on this.
But that's even, I mean, even if you are in a good relationship, but it's not great, you know, it doesn't have to be a bad relationship for you to decide to move on. You know, it's just like maybe I'm not growing. Maybe I'm not, you know, getting my needs met, whatever those needs are. Doesn't have to be a bad reason why you're leaving, but sometimes you just need to like call it off, you know.
And that also determines, I mean, depends on, I should say, in your head or in your heart, what kind of relationship is this? Was this a temporary relationship, or is this, I'm thinking of my life mate, you know, because those have different parameters.
That was one of my questions too.
Oh, yeah. What is it?
Well, because I said first you have to ask yourself, what's the goal of that relationship, right? Are you trying to work towards marriage, or is this just somebody that you're dating and having fun and you're not looking for anything serious? You know, so first you ask yourself, like, what's the goal? If the goal is marriage, then, you know, from one of our other videos with Sean Aubrey, shout out to Sean, he said that it takes men about 6 months to a year to determine whether you are somebody that he wants to marry. So yeah, so you look at that and say, okay, well, it's been a year, and I want to know like where this is going, basically.
Let me assess this relationship just like you do everything else. This job, your associations, your stocks. I mean, you want to look at everything.
Yeah, and ladies, we really need to take the emotion out of it. Men are better at doing this. They're better at looking at things logically and saying like, what's best for me? Not that, I mean, they tend to be a little selfish, but at the end of the day, you do need to think about yourself.
They know what they want, or they know what doesn't feel good, and then they'll make a move, right? Exactly. Where we're still like holding on. Yeah, we're sentimental and like, oh, but I see. And if it was like it was in the beginning, I could picture us with the picket fence, like all those. Girl, it ain't going there. No, I'm just playing.
All right. Well, and so if the goal is marriage, yes, you need to start assessing like, are my needs going to get met? And if the answer is no, if you have a discussion with him and he says, you know, no, I'm not ready for that, then it's time for you to move on.
Because if he wants you, he'll come get you, boo. Believe it.
Exactly. And then number 2, I said, what if the goal is...
but let me make a little point before you do number 2. But when he come back and get you, fellas, this is what sometimes y'all mess up. She's like, I'm wanting something new. Even if it's not another man, she's just like, yeah, I saw through the fog. You're not really the one. So
that's the problem, guys, with letting that person go, because now you're risking the fact that she might get over you. She might just be like, you know what, I'm cool.
That happened to me.
Did it? Tell us about it.
Oh, I'm like, are we doing names? I don't do names, but
no, don't do names.
I know. I'm like, are we doing names? No, I know. How do I refer to him? You know,
there was this guy.
Oh, okay, yeah. I'm like, so
oh my god.
So you know that I dated, and you know him, and LC. So I'll say LC. So yeah, he wasn't ready. Oh no, he had already done marriage and kids, and he was trying to talk me out of it, which I thought was so very selfish of you to be like, marriage ain't shit. Basically, what he was saying is, you know, it's nothing. It's negative. He had 2 negative experiences. He already been married twice, so did not marry out of love both times. So I don't even like you putting that energy on me. Like, that's your experience, you know, and you're trying to take that from me. But anyhow, that's a whole nother thing. So I needed to leave that relationship when to call it quits. I had to call it quits because, okay, if that's your decision, I'm not trying to force you into that. And I don't want you to have regrets or resentment. And we were in love. We were crying. We cried. You know, we tried to break up 10 times, child, because it wasn't like we had an argument or anything. It's just when you have to come to an adult decision.
Yeah.
And so I was going to say, but he did come back. All right, you want to get married? Let's get married. Well, by that time, I had seen that I really, I'm not there anymore. I'll just say it like that. I'm not there anymore. So
So you run the risk of losing her anyway.
A good girl, a good catch,
A
honey.
good woman making fried pork chops and truffle cookies
and truffle llama. Okay.
So, you know, that's something that guys definitely need to consider. And what I do, so I was going to say, if you're just looking for companionship or your relationship is, you know, going in that direction, I do peace over drama. Like if this relationship is disrupting my peace, and that means I can't sleep at night, it's messing with my eating habits, it's just throwing me off, and that's when I'm like, no. Because at this age, at this time, I value my peace.
And again, I think that's with anything, Miriam. Friends, acquaintances, jobs. You know what I mean? You have to be conscious of the energy you're bringing in and the energy that people invoke in you. You know, if they make your character different and stressed and whatever, you got to remove all that kind of stuff, whether you think you're in love or not.
Well, because it's holding you back. It's holding you back from being your best self, which to me, that's what marriage is about, is like bringing out the best in each other. And if somebody brings out bad parts of you, like, I just don't think that that's somewhere you should be. I don't care if they're, go ahead.
No, go ahead. You don't care if what?
No, I don't care if there's kids involved or what. I feel like, because that's why a lot of people say that they're staying, and it's just like, these kids know. Like, my daughter will come to me and say the most insightful things, and I'm like, how are you even thinking on this level? They know what's going on.
They know.
Remember I told you we got in a disagreement in front of her, and she was like, yeah, well, I just think that this is what should happen. Like, she has her own opinion about it and everything.
Right.
So why do we think that they don't know what's going on?
And even if they don't, I have to go back to, you know, that was my mother's reason for staying with my dad, is that we did it for the kids. I did it for the kids. Well, your kids are screwed in the love department. We all got issues.
Right.
You know, commitment phobic or this or that. Like, you know what I mean? You're not, and you're just not showing your children. They learn more so visually than verbally. So you're not showing them what a real love relationship is, a union is. So yeah.
It's so funny you said that, because I was watching Red Table Talks with Niecy Nash. It was on today. And she said something similar. She, you know, she had been married to twice. And she said, you know how some people say I stayed for the kids? She said, I left for the kids, because she said exactly what you just said. I wanted them to see an example of a loving relationship, because if they don't see it, they're not going to be able to
They can't repeat it. Look, that's a good love. They don't see it, they can't repeat it.
There you go. There you go. So it's like, you know, we got to stop this. And thinking that above all else, like, I'm going to stay in this miserable, unhappy situation because of my kids. Like, the kids will be fine.
They'll be better, and they'll be better. But at the same time, I'm not saying you just leave a relationship. You know, you do put your all into it. And when you get to that end, you know what I mean? Then you have to assess all of this. I'm not saying, because a lot of times, like my grandmother said this years ago, these kids, you know, they just divorcing like it's nothing. And so you're not taking the sacrament and the union as serious as it really is, you know.
But then it's like, to what extent are we to stay in a marriage? Because, like, I've heard, like, a couple, you know, I don't want to generalize, but a lot of white men end up killing their spouses versus, it's like, can you just divorce? Like,
girl, they do not want to lose that money. You know, I watch SNAP and ID all the time.
It's so crazy.
It's crazy. I'd be like, baby, please, at the wedding day, if you ever feel like you got to kill me, don't. I don't need no.
Don't kill me.
Away.
Don't let me lose my life.
Right. You don't have to give me no alimony. I'm good.
I know. I wouldn't even ask for anything. I just want to live. Just let me live.
Isn't it crazy?
It's so crazy that they're in their mind, it's better to kill you than to divorce you.
And these would be like Christians who go to church like it's crazy that they can justify that, like you
and
said.
that's part of it, because a lot of Christians are like, no divorce, and it's just like,
right. But murder,
God gave us reasons that we can divorce. So that's what if you getting your butt beat every day, or there's repeated infidelity, like that's a reason to get out.
Oh, wow. And again, murder is worse than divorce.
Murder is better than divorce. Okay, is that what I mean? I just don't understand the logic. Hi, Chris. I told Chris that I was gonna shout him out.
Hey,
remember Chris? We met Chris in Sweden when we went to no, we met him in Nigeria, and he's from Sweden. Remember?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
The one white guy at the thing from
remember we were by the pool in Nigeria, and Chris White, we met him and we were chatting with him, and he hung out with us a couple times. I actually hung out with him.
Christopher! Oh my God! Yeah. A blast from the past.
Thanks for joining us, Chris.
Thank you.
So yeah, but like I was saying, it's just like there are just certain reasons that you can leave, even if you are a Christian. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so I just feel like we really need to start thinking about this, because people are experiencing health issues because they're staying in a situation that's bad. It ain't worth my health. I want to live. Like, if it's affecting my peace, though, that's just that's the end. That's it.
But then you made a valid point. I wanted to go back to something I said earlier, was thinking of earlier, but let me go here. Like, people are stuck, especially in a pandemic. People are stuck for various reasons. Health insurance, I mean, like, just living situation, monetary.
I'm glad you brought that up, because I addressed that. That's one of my things that I think of. Here's a good question that I like to ask myself and others. I say, if you had $10 million, would you stay with that person? And this is why. It's not just
good. Mary, where you get these good questions from?
Girl, this was something that I came up with on my own, but it was because it's not just financial, right? Money brings a certain sort of freedom, right? It brings freedom, it brings options. Like, oh, well, if I had $10 million, I could probably get a better girl, or I could probably get a better guy, or I could travel and I wouldn't be concerned about having a partner at all.
Right. So or I just don't need to deal with this stuff.
Yeah. It makes you really think like, okay, am I just financially attached to this person? Is this person just providing something that I want, or they're just, you know what I mean? Yeah. It's not just about the fact that you have all this money, but it tells you where you are in terms of that person, and it helps you objectively look at the person. Would I stay with this person? And I guarantee you, a lot of people would say no.
Oh, really? So if I hit the lotto for $20 million,
would you stay with that person? Now think about it. Think about all your past, your
right.
Would you?
That's funny.
And then so also I asked myself, this question I found in a book that I read. Mm-hmm. If I could not fail, what would I do? So if I could not lose, I could not, the decision that I make will be right, will be correct. What would I do? And that's to help you determine whether you're staying somewhere out of fear. And
say that again, Miriam.
So you ask yourself, if I could not fail, what would I do? So like a job, like, I'm staying at this job because I really don't think I can get a better job, right? Or I really don't think I can get a better girl or a better guy. So I'm just staying in this relationship. And so a lot of people are staying out of fear, right? Fear of change, fear of the unknown, fear of losing something, fear of being alone. And so what happened was, so during the pandemic, when the pandemic first started, I was afraid because everybody was buying all the toilet paper, right? And I was like, oh my gosh, like, I'm not going to have any toilet paper. Like, what am I going to do? So I'm like frantically looking online.
I remember when you were going through your toilet paper phase.
Yeah. And so I get on eBay and this dude is selling toilet paper for $100. $100! And I bought it, Courtney.
That was definitely times, huh?
Girl, and so my point is, I said after that, because shortly after, my friend Javon, hey Javon, she was like, oh yeah, Aldi has toilet paper, go get you some, $12.
Okay.
When got toilet paper, I was fine. But I said, you know what? I'm not making any more decisions out of fear. I'm not doing it anymore. Yeah. And at that moment, I decided, like, I have to ask myself, am I doing this out of fear?
But I mean, toilet, you got to wipe your ass. I mean, what if there was no Aldi?
Fear.
Because it was everywhere that there was no toilet paper for that moment. So,
but that was still fear.
What would you have used? So you had a backup, like, okay, if I don't, I'm gonna use paper.
I ask family members. Girl, my brother, AC, shout out to AC. He was like, we got plenty of toilet paper. You could have just asked me for something.
Right.
He mailed one of our family friends some toilet paper.
Right.
So I would have been fine, but I was freaking out. I was fearful. Mm-hmm. Like I was not gonna have this toilet paper, and I said, I'm not doing it anymore. I'm not going to make a decision based on fear. Whatever that fear is, I'm not doing it.
Right.
And I think a lot of people stay in relationships because of fear.
Most definitely. And the comfort. Like you say, it's the fear of the unknown, but it's the comfort right here. I might be, in an abusive relationship, mentally, physically, or whatever, but it's still comforting. Like we have this cycle, and some people, fight and then love to have the makeup sex and then fight and then love to have, that's a cycle,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So you get used to your cycles, I should say.
You get it. And the thing is, comfort is actually the enemy. Like comfort is not something that we should be striving for, right?
It ruins relationships, right? When you get comfortable, like, I need you on your toes.
Yeah, I'm not gonna do nothing now. I'm just gonna chill, and I'm not gonna do the things that I was doing in the beginning to get you. I'm just gonna relax.
Right.
Comfort is actually the enemy.
Oh, that's good, Miriam. You're right.
Because even at your job, when you're comfortable in your job, you don't work as hard. You don't try to impress people anymore after you've been there for a few years.
You're about to get replaced.
Because it's just like we don't do what we did in the beginning when we got the job, when we got the relationship, we got the marriage.
On your P's and Q's, yeah.
And a lot of women, I will call us out, we get relaxed when we get married. Women be gaining weight, gaining all this weight and thinking like, well, you still should be attracted to me. No, like you cannot expect that. It's not fair.
Right.
So I just feel like,
comfort because I know what's coming. What's coming? Oh, Brian said comfort. Yes. It can be the assistant to mediocre. Okay.
Mediocrity.
And you do not want that in your relationship.
Like, who wants a mediocre relationship? But I think, too, a lot of people... what happened?
You froze for a second.
No, and I just think at the end of the day, I think, we just need to focus on women, especially. We're not good at being selfish. We don't think about ourselves. We're thinking about everybody else, our kids, our husband, our boyfriends. Like, how do they feel? What do they want? Forget what they want. What do you want?
You're right. That is such, a backbone of a woman is, taking care of others before you take care of yourself.
Yep.
What other questions do you have? I love your questions.
Thank you.
Did you have any more?
Well, I just feel like also, I think a lot of us are settling. I think that's why a lot of relationships are ending, because they really didn't marry the person that they wanted to be with. They married.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
I was going to say the example I gave with LC. He had 2 marriages and neither one was out of love. Like, So men,
so why did he get married then?
Right. Well, because men sometimes, it's the woman who's around at that time when they're ready. Like, well, and then but even in his case, more specifically, kind of like both of their mothers were like, it's weird. They were kind of very similar. Well, what you gonna do? And then he said to himself, well, yeah, what am I doing? Nothing. You know what I mean? I guess I might as well just marry her. So we've been dating 2 years. I might as well just marry. I ain't gonna,
That's sad.
I don't want that kind of.
I know, like, okay, fine, I'll marry you.
Yeah, I ain't doing nothing.
The thing is, we know that, and they still marry these men, knowing this man don't really feel nothing about you, and you don't really feel anything about him.
But are we being too romantic? I mean, maybe that's. I mean, that was the foundation back then. Is Kyle, work husband, said marriage is a business. It's about setting a foundation and your legacy and all that kind of stuff. So maybe you don't need all that love.
And Sonata said this to us one time. Hi, Sonata.
Oh, Sonata. Like Sonata.
She's a friend of ours who's been married for about 15 years?
Maybe.
And she said that what's important in a marriage is a common vision, right? So that means you both are on the same page. Like, what does your marriage look like? What does your life look like with this person? And so if you focus on that, so like to your point, Courtney, like you're talking about a marriage being a business, as long as Kyle's girl feels the same way, that's fine. But
right.
The problem, the trouble occurs when her vision is different from his vision.
True that.
So if you both see it as a business, it probably will work.
Right.
Unless one of them starts feeling unfulfilled, because that does happen. It's like
that comes with growth. Like, so how do you know when we're just having the difference between we're just having growing pains and no, this needs to be over?
Well, because it wasn't really rooted in love. It was rooted in a business. Like,
well, no, I mean, not in that. I just mean like in any kind of relationship, in your relationship, I kind of, without those parameters, just in a relationship that's coming to an end or whatever. How do you know that this is the end as opposed to we're just having growing pains and we should work through this? You know what I mean?
Oh, you mean just like in general?
In general.
That's a good question. I think that, obviously, neither of us can totally speak on marriage because,
we ain't got no rings on our finger.
Right. We haven't entered that domain. But I will say, like, even just looking at my parents' relationship, same thing. My mom said she stayed for the kids and all that drama. But when I think about that, I think it's fine to have a dry spell and have moments, ups and downs, of course. But when the last 5 years of your marriage have been ups and downs, I think you really have to reevaluate. I think it's just a matter of time. Like, usually you'll get in a funk and then you'll come out of it. But what was the foundation of the relationship to begin with? What was the foundation?
I also think Loretta said also in a marriage, you have to expect some people to change a bit as well. I believe that you have to be realistic now. People are going to change. And so I think that, damn, what was I going to say? Damn, I hate when I forget my thoughts.
That's okay.
Such a good thought.
Try to get it back.
What was the last thing you said?
Oh, I said, what's the foundation of the marriage? Because if the foundation is that it's a business, I mean, how can you relate that to emotions where you say, okay, you having ups and downs? Like, what do you mean? That's what I'm saying. Like, you can't make it too much of a business because it is still based on emotion, right? At the end of the day.
But
so
go ahead.
If you're having ups and downs in a business, like, what does that mean? Nobody's really emotionally invested in a business. So it's very obvious, like, when you would end the business, if you're not making a profit, if you're not, growing. But in relation to in regards to a marriage, there are different parameters that you have to consider when you're thinking about ending a marriage as opposed to ending a business. So
But I think there are two sides to that coin. Ones who see it as a business have lasted 30 years, and others haven't. And ones who base it on romance. I think there's examples for both of them. And I was just going to say, I don't really think, like you said before, you can put, let's say it's 5 years of back and forth or whatever. I'm not really sure you can put a time on it. It's more so, what I think is super important. Are both people willing to seek, and I don't know if you need to seek counsel or whatever, but we're willing to work on this?
That's a good,
because you can't be just one person working at a union and thinking you're going to make it. You know what I mean? The other person isn't invested.
That's true.
You agree with that?
I totally agree with that. Yeah, that's true. And I think, but what if you work at it and then it's still not working? Then, and how long do you give it? Like, that's why I'm saying time matters to me. Time is very important.
Well, you can tell
it's become more important because it's like we don't have a whole lot of time.
I ain't got it, boo.
So if we went through a down period for about 2 years, I
think it's like first you propose the let's get help. Are we willing to work on this? If they say no, then of course, they're not invested. If they say yes, and then what? Are they still doing the same things? You're doing this maybe therapy or whatever, but they haven't changed. They're still doing the same things. Then that also is no. But on the other side, if you're going out for help and they are applying and trying, but it still may not be, you still may want to invest some more time. You're not ready to call it quits yet. You just gauge it by, I think, how that person's interests and or how hard they're working at it at the same time.
That's good. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, definitely. If you both are invested, I think that's a good sign. Trying to make it work. Brian said when it becomes a task to love someone, then it may be over.
Brian, you ain't said nothing but a word, honey.
That's heavy.
It's so heavy in here. Why you got to be so heavy? I like it when it was light. It's too heavy.
Right? I can't hear you. I can't.
Oh, I can't.
Loretta, you bring up a good point, and this has been brought up before. Loretta said, I think our generation is ready to quit too easily. Our parents weathered worse storms than most and still stayed married.
That's what I said earlier.
Good, but I have a big but.
What's the but?
Because our parents stayed married because a lot of the women didn't have other options. Like, they weren't really working back then, in that time, women weren't in high power positions like they are now where they can kind of take care of themselves. So I think a lot of women stayed not because they wanted to be there, but because they just didn't have anywhere else to go. And I have several examples of that. And that's as recent as my parents' generation, where they definitely would have left. Maybe some of them were being abused and some of them were getting cheated on, outside babies, all kinds of things that our ancestors were dealing with that they couldn't do anything about because they didn't have the means to leave. So we have to really consider why they were staying, and the fact that nowadays marriages are ending so easily. I think that's part of the reason is because we don't really have to put up with the drama. Like, we can just.
But again, like, are you going to miss that window? There are couples who have been together 20, 30 years. Maybe even Sean said this when he was on our show, but and you went through a hard patch, and the hard patch could be 5 to 7 years of whatever. But
what's the hard patch though?
It depends. Yeah, somebody's cheating and outside babies, but when they got past that,
but how do you get past?
Wait. They've had 10 years of bliss after that drama, after and I don't want to say it's all the guys' thing. Women do shit too.
Right, that's true.
So, whoever, whatever, once they get back on board, and the last 10 and 15 years has been beautiful, so it's like.
I can't survive an outside baby. I'm sorry. That's too much for me. I would have to tap out. That's what I'm saying. Like, how many women could survive that? like how many marriages would survive that today? Where your man had a baby by some other woman while you were married and you stayed. Most people would not. They just would. What'd you say?
I'm gonna fuck them up. I'm gonna say that.
You might beat them, but you ain't gonna divorce them.
No.
You might go white men killing people and not divorcing them.
I learned a lot from Snap. He's gonna get both probably, his ass kicked and left. I can't call it though. I can't call it, but
I think okay. Look, there's storms that I'm willing to go through, but there are storms that
you got to pick your poison. Yeah, Allie said over 30 years, storms are bound to happen on both sides. I mean, for real. And yeah, you got to pick your poison. Even when you pick a mate, you have to pick, what can I live with? Can I deal with this? When you're picking mates. So when you're staying with them, it's the same thing. Can I deal with this? Can I, personality.
True. And when you're choosing a mate, you have to think of those things as well. Like there's some things you might be able to deal with that I can't deal with.
He's not a gift giver. I had a nurse tell me back in the day, y'all, I used to work in a lab, do research, and she was like, Courtney, you're never going to find the perfect guy. My husband was horrible at getting gifts. He used to piss me off all the time. He was that typical guy who would buy her appliances and stuff like that, and she said, I just had to realize, okay, but other than that, he's a great guy. So Can I live with that? Yeah, I can live with that. I can buy my own, little pretty whatever, jewelry and stuff like that. So.
Right. But that's minor. I mean, we're talking about like big.
No, but I'm just saying, that's an example just to give you an example of
like what you can deal with versus what I can do. And I had an older woman tell me the same thing. Like her husband never bought her gifts on holidays like Valentine's Day. So she wasn't that person getting flowers. But he would give her money and like go buy something if that's what you want. That would be fine with me. Yeah, because I'm not a gift person. That's your love language.
That's my.
I know that's your. Remember
what?
You got mad at me one time because I didn't get you a gift, and I was like, Courtney, like
for what? My birthday?
Yes, for your birthday, because I'm not a gift giver. Like that's not my love language. That's not how I show love.
And I give great gifts. Don't I give good gifts?
Love language. You always give gifts.
Right.
So now knowing that that's your love language, and that's a good point. If you know your mate's love language and you can speak it,
yes,
game over. Problem solved.
Right.
I think if we all would go ahead.
I was gonna say LC, who was the same example about the marriage thing earlier. Oh, yeah. He was a great spoiler of me. He spoiled me, but for holidays, he would piss me off. And once I just had to blow up. He would give gifts that benefited us both. And I'm like, motherfucker, this is my day. When it's your birthday or Christmas, I give you a gift for you. Like, I'm not giving something that we both can use. That used to piss me off so bad. And so even when we broke up, honey, it was like after Christmas, but we knew we were still breaking up, and I made him, not made him, but that was like the real first gift he gave me. That was just for me, some nice little diamond earrings. That was he used to. Well, it's for us.
We tried, and that's a good example of changing and adapting, because that's the person you want to be with. Listening. Brian brings up a great point. When you like who you are with, situations are easier to deal with. And that's why I'm like, I am not marrying somebody that is not my bestie. Like, this dude we have to be friends. Because I feel like if you're friends, to Brian's point, I mean, yeah, you're going to have issues. All friendships have issues.
Right.
But at the end of the day, it's like, I love that person. Like, that's the person I want to spend all my time with.
I want to be around them. I enjoy their company.
Because you're going to be around them for the rest of your life.
I need to laugh.
Somebody that you don't like.
Right. I need to laugh, have fun.
I need to laugh, have fun. Girls just want to have fun. That's all we want. That's all we really want. Yeah, we just want to have fun. Like, we want to be with somebody that is fun, and that way you can get through all the hard times together if you're having a good time with your partner. So that's a big part of it, is friendship first.
It sure is. It is.
I think too, one of my last points is just when the trust is broken.
Ooh, fellas and women, you cannot break that trust. It's so hard to. I mean, is it worth it, Miriam? To I don't know.
I don't know if a relationship can survive without trust. Even if you go to counseling, it's very difficult to reestablish trust because it's so hard in the first place.
It will never, ever, ever be the way it was before the trust was broken. Just know that. Never, ever, ever.
Never. It's never going to be the same.
It may be, it might not be as whatever. They might not be as mad and stop going through your phone or whatever, but it will never, ever be the same.
So you have to think about that, fellas, ladies, if you're thinking about stepping out on your relationship. If he finds out, especially with men can't handle that. Most men that know that their wife cheated on them are not going to stick around.
But there are some that do. What do we call those guys?
Look at Will Smith.
We think they have an open relationship, right? I mean, that's part of their rules or something.
A rumor, but he was pretty upset when they was talking about August Alsina. He did not look happy about that at all.
Well, they are life partners, not married or something. They a whole different.
Yeah, but still, I'm saying like his demeanor and the way that he spoke about it sounded like he was hurt. So even if they do have an open relationship, she somehow violated the rules of that because he was upset. Now, if you have an open relationship and that you play by the rules, that's on you. That's your relationship. That's fine. But it's clear that she stepped outside of the boundaries of whatever that was.
Yeah.
Because he was butthurt when...
Not butthurt.
Talking about butthurt. Like, yeah.
That face, that meme that kept going around.
He just looked so hurt.
So sad. Poor baby.
Yeah, he was hurt for real. I could tell.
Miriam, I mean, this was a great conversation. I want to wrap it up, but I do want you to give those beautiful 2 questions, assessment questions that people can give themselves. Ask yourself these 2 questions when you want to know if it's time to call it quits or not. This is just it's not going to give you the full answer, but I'm sure it should be able to give you some insight.
Okay. So the first one was based on zero-sum thinking by investment advisor Susie Orman. If I was not already in the relationship I am in now, would I choose to start this relationship given what I know? Okay. And the second one that I came up with that I asked myself is, if I had $10 million, would I stay with this person?
Because honey, when you get that money, you'd be like,
I'm out. I'm about to go travel. I don't care about you. I don't care about these kids. I'm out. Like,
not the kids too.
I would take the kids with me, maybe, but maybe.
I'll be back in 6 months, boo. I'm gonna be on the yacht. Take care of them kids. It's your turn.
I will be living it up. Ain't worried about Jack. So those are 2 really good questions I would ask myself if I was contemplating leaving a relationship.
I love it.
Thank you. And you guys, don't forget, if you're watching via YouTube, please go to YouTube, click that subscribe button, like the video, share it. We can't do this without your support. So
thank you for all the comments and the feedback. That was a great conversation with everyone.
It made it such a good conversation hearing from you guys. And we love you guys, those who have been with us since the beginning, those who are new. Keep coming, keep inviting people, tell people what a wonderful conversation this was and that we always have really good conversations. So,
and like us on social media, SNAX _LA on Instagram and Twitter, and then SNAX fans. You're watching us on Facebook. Yeah. On YouTube is SNAX _LA too, right? Podcast.
Correct. Mm-hmm. So thank you guys for being with us. We really enjoyed you and all your comments.
Good night, Christopher from Sweden.
Hi, Christopher. Thanks for joining us.
Yay.
And please join us next week. Real quick, I forgot to tease this last time. So you guys, we are talking about kind of relationships, and art is imitation of life. There's a show on Netflix called The One. And I really, really want to discuss it because it's so good. It's so juicy. It has so many different aspects of relationships. It explores different aspects of relationships. So I think it's going to be great. We're going to do that possibly next week, maybe the following week. But
Miriam I'm sorry, Mir.
No,
she had me watch and she told me about it. I was like, girl, it sounds sketchy, but no, it is a really good, it's good writing and everything. So it's an actual show, scripted show. So yeah, it's good.
And it's bingeable. It's only one season, 8 episodes. But I guarantee you, if you watch it so that you can be a part of the conversation, you will not regret it. It's really, really good. So again, thank you guys for joining us. We really loved having you in the chat. We love the chat. Keep the chat going.
Yeah, snackers.
We need to get the word out about SNAX because this is something, it's revolutionary. Nobody else is doing this, especially Black women. We're not doing anything like this. So this is the only place you're going to get this kind of conversation. So.
Right. Well, let's do our tagline, sis.
All right. Life,
love,
and snacks.
Thank you, guys.